Hey guys, tonight we're going to step through the vermilion gates of the Forbidden City and explore a side of imperial life you rarely hear about. The intimate, meticulously choreographed nightly routine of a Chinese emperor. You might imagine a life of endless leisure, a few quick commands, and then straight to bed. But for the son of heaven, even the act of preparing for sleep was a complex ballet of ritual, power, and surprising vulnerability. Trust me, you probably won't survive this one. It's less about simply getting ready for bed and more about a nightly performance, where every gesture, every attendant, every scent serve a purpose far beyond mere comfort. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's Friday evening here in Phu Lai, Ha Nam, Vietnam, and the sounds of the city are just starting to wind down. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Our story begins not with the setting sun, but with the emperor's gradual awakening to a new day's demands, meticulously orchestrated by eunuchs. Imperial awakening, a new day. You, as the emperor, don't wake up to an alarm clock or the gentle nudging of a loved one. Instead, your awakening is a carefully timed event, initiated by a series of subtle cues from the eunuchs who have maintained a silent vigil outside your bedchamber all night. Long before the first hint of dawn, you might discern a barely perceptible shift in the air, a faint increase in the ambient light as eunuchs discreetly uncover windows or light additional lamps in adjoining rooms. There's no harsh light or sudden noise. Rather, it's a gentle, almost ethereal transition from the world of dreams to the reality of imperial power. Imagine sensing the soft rustle of silk, the quiet clearing of a throat in the distance, and the almost imperceptible movements of servants preparing for your rise, all designed to bring you gradually, gracefully, back to consciousness. It's less about simply waking up and more about a carefully orchestrated, perfectly synchronized reentry into the world of absolute power, like a very ancient, very human alarm system that anticipates your every need. As your eyes slowly open, a senior eunuch, one of your most trusted attendants, might approach your bedchamber, often just an antechamber beyond a screen, and discreetly cough or make a soft, almost imperceptible sound to signal that the hour has come. There's no direct command. Your awakening is a privilege, a personal affair that only a select few are permitted to facilitate. Other eunuchs are already in motion, preparing your warm washing water, arranging your robes for the day, and laying out your breakfast in a nearby dining area. The air is still cool, sometimes thick with the faint scent of charcoal from the braziers that have kept your chambers warm through the night. You slowly stretch, feeling the soft silk sheets against your skin, knowing that with each passing moment, the weight of the empire will begin to settle upon your shoulders once more. This gentle awakening is designed not just for comfort, but to ensure that the Son of Heaven begins his day in a state of perfect serenity, undisturbed by the harsh realities of the waking world. A contrast to the brutal awakening of servant girls we discussed in our last journey. One mainstream historical fact is the constant presence and meticulous duties of eunuchs in the emperor's private quarters. They were indispensable for managing every aspect of his personal life, from his sleep and awakening to his meals and intimate encounters, acting as a buffer between the emperor and the outside world. This intimate but powerful role made them highly influential. You can almost feel the discreet omnipresence of these silent attendants, a constant shadow in your waking moments. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if an emperor was known to be a particularly heavy sleeper of very specific lightweight and incredibly intricate awakening chime, a small, delicate bronze bell, or a cluster of tiny jade pieces, might be subtly jingled by a eunuch outside his bed curtains, the sound barely audible, just enough to gently stir him from his slumber without causing any shock. Imagine having a custom-made, barely there alarm that sounds like ethereal wind chimes. What a truly refined, an utterly peculiar form of imperial wake-up call. Historians still argue whether the elaborate and gentle awakening rituals for the emperor were primarily a practical means of ensuring his good health and mood, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of well-being, or if they also served as a subtle form of control and isolation, ensuring that the emperor's first moments of consciousness were shaped by the palace system, reinforcing his detachment from the common world and his reliance on the eunuch bureaucracy. Was it about health or control? The debate continues, much like the gentle widening of your eyes, as the first light of a new imperial day softly illuminates your bedchamber, signaling the quiet beginning of another day at the pinnacle of power. You feel the slow, deliberate transition from sleep to rule, a world awaiting your command. From a meticulously orchestrated, gentle awakening, your imperial morning immediately transitions into a series of highly ritualized preparations for the day. Morning ablutions, perfumed rituals. You might imagine a quick wash and a simple change of clothes. But for you, the emperor, cleansing was an elaborate, multi-stage ceremony involving numerous eunuchs, warm perfumed waters, and a selection of fine silks and rare essences, all designed to purify your body and prepare your spirit for the immense responsibilities of governance. Imagine eunuchs carefully pouring scented water over your hands, gently patting your skin with soft cloths, and then anointing you with subtle fragrances, every motion precise and deferential. It's less about mere hygiene and more about a sacred purification, like a very ancient, very exclusive, full-body spa treatment administered by silent attendants. As you slowly emerge from your bedchamber, the eunuchs, who had been waiting in an adjoining room, would already have everything prepared. Large basins of warm, often perfumed, water would be ready, along with delicate cloths and various unguents. Your hands and face would be meticulously washed, not by yourself, but by attentive eunuchs, ensuring every gesture was perfect and dignified. The water itself might be infused with fragrant herbs like orchid or jasmine, or perhaps essential oils believed to have calming or invigorating properties. After cleansing, your body would be gently dried with soft, finely woven silk towels. Then would come the anointing, subtle application of rare perfumes or fragrant powders, particularly to your hair and skin, leaving a light, pleasing scent. This entire process was not just about physical cleanliness. It was imbued with symbolic meaning, representing the purification of the emperor's body and mind before he engaged with the weighty affairs of state. Every move was practiced, every item precisely placed, ensuring your comfort and reinforcing your elevated status. You can almost feel the warm water, the soft touch of silk, and the delicate, lingering scent of rare flowers. As your body is prepared for the day, one mainstream historical fact is the extensive use of perfumes, incense, and aromatic substances in the daily lives of the Chinese elite, including the imperial family. These were valued not only for their pleasant scents, but also for perceived medicinal and spiritual benefits, making elaborate ablution rituals common. Eunuchs often managed these precious resources, ensuring the emperor always had access to the finest aromas. You can almost hear the soft splash of water, a quiet symphony of imperial pampering. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was feeling particularly sluggish in the morning, eunuchs might subtly add a few drops of essence distilled from invigorating herbs like ginseng into his bath water, believing it would stimulate his senses and sharpen his mind for the day ahead. Imagine having a personalized, ancient energy drink that you literally bathe in. What a truly unique and rather aromatic form of imperial pick-me-up. Historians still argue whether the elaborate morning ablution rituals for the emperor were primarily a practical means of ensuring hygiene and personal comfort, reflecting the advanced understanding of wellness in ancient China, or if they also served as a powerful symbolic act, reinforcing the emperor's divine purity and his separation from the ordinary world, elevating his daily routine into a sacred performance for the benefit of the palace hierarchy. Was it about cleanliness or divine mystique? The debate continues, much like the gentle fading of a fragrant mist, a silent testament to the meticulous care and profound symbolism that surrounded the very first moments of an emperor's imperial day. You feel the profound sense of preparation, the subtle enhancement of your senses as you transition into your majestic role. From the perfumed rituals of morning ablutions, your imperial day immediately transitions into the public face of governance. First audience, dawn's demands. You might imagine a leisurely start to your work, perhaps after a hearty breakfast. But for you, the emperor, the early morning hours are already filled with the urgent demands of the state, as your officials await their chance to present petitions, deliver crucial reports, and seek your immediate decrees. Imagine sitting on your throne, the vast audience hall slowly filling with kneeling figures, their faces upturned in expectation. As you listen to whispered grievances and urgent requests, knowing that the very first decisions of the day will set the course for your vast empire. It's less about a formal gathering and more about an immediate, high-stakes political engagement, like a very ancient, very solemn pre-breakfast press conference. Even as the last lingering scent of your perfumed bath dissipates, you are led to one of the smaller, more intimate audience halls. This isn't a grand, ceremonial audience that might take place later in the day. This is a working session reserved for your most trusted grand secretaries, ministers from key departments, and perhaps even a few high-ranking eunuchs who manage critical palace affairs. They arrive in the dim morning light, often having waited for hours, their faces etched with the concerns of the realm. One by one, or sometimes in small groups, they present urgent memorials, written petitions, or verbally deliver concise briefings on matters requiring your immediate attention. A border skirmish, a looming famine, a dispute among regional governors, or a critical tax report. Your task is to listen intently, absorbing vast amounts of information, asking clarifying questions, and then, swiftly, making pronouncements or issuing directives. Your mind must be sharp, your judgment clear, as these early decisions can have far-reaching consequences. This audience sets the tone for your entire day, plunging you directly into the complex machinery of imperial governance. You can almost feel the weight of their expectations, the silent plea in their eyes, as you begin to wield the power of your throne. One mainstream historical fact is the practice of early morning audiences, or morning court, as a fundamental part of the Chinese emperor's daily routine across many dynasties. These sessions allowed direct interaction with officials and expedited urgent state business, emphasizing the emperor's diligence and central role in governance. They were a crucial mechanism for maintaining control and stability. You can almost hear the soft rustle of silk robes, the deferential bowing, and the low murmurs of respectful address. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly concerned about appearing impartial and awake during these early, dimly lit audiences, he might instruct a trusted eunuch to strategically place a small, concealed, perfumed sachet infused with invigorating scents like camphor or mint near his throne, believing the aroma would keep him alert and focused. Imagine using a hidden aroma diffuser to maintain your royal composure during a very important meeting. What a truly subtle and rather aromatic form of imperial mental stimulant. Historians still argue whether the emperor's direct engagement in these early morning audiences was primarily a practical necessity for efficient governance, allowing him to stay informed and make timely decisions, reflecting a hands-on approach to leadership, or if it also served as a subtle form of public performance and control, demonstrating his tireless dedication to the state and intimidating officials with his early presence, thereby reinforcing his absolute authority. Was it about efficiency or omnipresence? The debate continues, much like the lingering scent of incense in the quiet hall, a silent testament to the weighty responsibilities that descended upon the Son of Heaven with the very first light of dawn. You feel the profound pressure, the immediate demand for judgment. as you face the day's first challenges. From the intense, focused demands of the early morning audience, your imperial day now transitions to a more personal, yet equally structured affair. Imperial breakfast, first taste. You might imagine a leisurely selection from a vast buffet. But for you, the emperor, breakfast was a meticulously prepared and presented meal, often with symbolic dishes chosen for their auspiciousness or medicinal properties, served in a solemn, almost ritualistic manner by silent eunuchs. Imagine a long table laden with dozens of small, delicate dishes, each a miniature work of culinary art. Yet you pick only a few, your appetite perhaps not as grand as the feast before you, as you consider the day ahead. It's less about simple sustenance and more about a culinary prologue to the day's immense responsibilities, like a very ancient, very exquisite single diner tasting menu. After the intellectual and political exertions of the first audience, you would retire to a private dining hall, often adjacent to your bedchamber. Here, a bewildering array of dishes would await you, typically prepared by specialized imperial chefs from the vast palace kitchens, a place of frantic activity, as we saw in section 13 of our journey on servant girls. Unlike modern breakfasts, which might focus on a few main items, imperial breakfast could feature dozens of small bowls and plates, showcasing a wide variety of flavors and textures. Delicate steamed buns, various types of congee, rice porridge, with different toppings, small portions of braised meats or fish, stir-fried vegetables, pickled delicacies, and often sweet pastries or fruits. Each dish was not just food. It was a potential omen, a medicinal booster, or a display of the empire's bounty. You wouldn't necessarily eat from all of them. Often, you would take a few bites from a select handful, your choices potentially signaling your mood or preferences to the observant eunuchs. The meal was consumed in silence, a moment of personal reflection amidst the watchful presence of your attendants. This quiet ritual underscored both your supreme privilege and your underlying isolation. You can almost feel the delicate warmth of a porcelain bowl in your hand, the subtle blend of flavors, and the heavy quietude of the dining hall. One mainstream historical fact is the immense variety and symbolic importance of food in Chinese imperial cuisine. Dishes were not just for nourishment. They often conveyed wishes for good fortune, longevity, or prosperity, and the emperor's diet was a matter of state, meticulously recorded by eunuchs and overseen by imperial physicians. This elevated food to a significant cultural and political art form. You can almost hear the soft clinking of porcelain, a quiet symphony of imperial dining. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if an emperor was particularly fond of a specific, unusual ingredient, perhaps a rare mushroom only found in certain remote mountains, eunuchs might go to extraordinary lengths, dispatching special couriers or even establishing temporary outposts, just to ensure that a fresh supply of this unique delicacy was available for his breakfast table, even if it meant delays or immense logistical challenges. Imagine having a personal food delivery service that literally spanned an entire empire for your breakfast cravings. What a truly dedicated and utterly extravagant form of imperial culinary devotion. Historians still argue whether the elaborate and seemingly excessive number of dishes presented at the emperor's breakfast was primarily a practical means of ensuring his varied nutritional needs and accommodating his shifting whims, reflecting a pragmatic approach to diet, or if it also served as a profound symbolic display of imperial wealth, power, and mastery over the natural world, demonstrating the boundless resources at his command, even for a single meal. Was it about sustenance or spectacle? The debate continues. Much like the gentle steam rising from a fragrant bowl of congee, a silent testament to the many layers of meaning embedded in the very first tastes of an emperor's imperial day. You feel the profound privilege, the quiet observation, as you begin to fuel your body for the monumental tasks ahead. From the silent, exquisite ritual of imperial breakfast, your day as the emperor now transitions to the very heart of governance, state council governing the realm. You might imagine a leisurely consultation, perhaps a few informal chats. But for you, this is a formal, high-stakes gathering with your grand secretaries and most powerful ministers, where the fate of the empire, from military campaigns to economic policies, hangs on your immediate decisions and directives. Imagine sitting at the head of a long, polished table, surrounded by the most brilliant, cunning, and ambitious minds in the realm. Their eyes fixed on you as they present meticulously crafted reports and engage in subtle, yet fierce, debates, all waiting for your final, authoritative word. It's less about simple discussion and more about a crucible of power, like a very ancient, very intense imperial board meeting. After breakfast, you would move to a more formal audience hall or a dedicated council chamber. This is where the true work of governing takes place, distinct from the brief. Urgent first audience, which we touched on in Section 3. Here, your grand secretaries, often the most learned and influential officials in the bureaucracy, would present detailed memorials, outlining complex policy proposals, analyzing provincial reports, or discussing major legislative initiatives. Ministers from the 6 boards, revenue, rights, war, justice, works, and personnel would report on their respective domains. You might be faced with a critical decision regarding flood control in a distant province, the appointment of a new official, the handling of a rebellion on the borders, or a new tax policy that could affect millions. Each official would present their arguments, sometimes subtly vying for your favor or pushing their own agendas. Your role is not merely to rubber stamp. You must listen acutely, weigh competing viewpoints, discern hidden motives, and then, with the full weight of imperial authority, issue your commands. This council is the engine of the empire, and your presence is its ultimate fuel. You can almost feel the intellectual tension in the air, the silent battles of wills, as you absorb the vast complexities of your realm. One mainstream historical fact is the centrality of the Grand Secretariat or similar advisory bodies in later imperial Chinese dynasties. These high-ranking officials served as the emperor's closest advisors and often wielded immense power in shaping policy, making their relationship with the emperor critical to governance. The daily state council was their primary interface with the Son of Heaven. You can almost hear the rustle of official documents, the polite coughs, and the hushed, respectful tones of men debating the future of an empire. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if a particular Grand Secretary was known for being overly long-winded or prone to meandering explanations during council meetings, the emperor might subtly have a eunuch place a small, hourglass-shaped incense burner on a nearby table, whose quickly diminishing plume of smoke would serve as a silent, visible reminder of the passing time, subtly urging the speaker to get to the point. Imagine being subtly timed by a delicate, perfumed sand timer during a very important presentation. What a truly passive-aggressive and utterly elegant form of imperial time management. Historians still argue whether the emperor's active participation in these daily state councils was primarily a practical necessity for effective governance, allowing him to maintain direct control over the vast bureaucracy and make informed decisions, reflecting a hands-on approach to ruling, or if it also served as a subtle form of public performance and personal endurance, showcasing his diligence and intellectual prowess to his ministers, thereby reinforcing his absolute authority and discouraging any attempts to usurp his power. Was it about effective rule or pervasive control? The debate continues. Much like the gentle clink of a jade pendant as a minister bows, a silent testament to the weighty decisions and intricate power dynamics that define the very core of imperial governance. You feel the profound intellectual demands, the constant pressure of decision as you steer the ship of state, from the intense intellectual and political demands of the State Council. Your imperial day now transitions to a rare, fleeting moment of carefully controlled respite, palace strolls, controlled leisure. You might imagine wandering freely through lush gardens at your whim. But for you, the emperor, even a seemingly simple walk through your own magnificent grounds is a meticulously managed affair. complete with eunuch escorts, pre-cleared paths, and subtle security measures, ensuring both your safety and the preservation of imperial decorum. Imagine stepping onto a winding pathway, the vibrant colors of exotic flowers blooming around you. Yet your periphery is always aware of the silent figures keeping pace, knowing that every breath of fresh air is a calculated privilege, not a casual freedom. It's less about uninhibited wandering and more about a guided, observed contemplation, like a very ancient, very grand, perfectly choreographed nature walk. After hours of intense intellectual effort, a brief period of outdoor activity was often recommended for your well-being. The designated eunuchs would have already ensured that the specific garden path or courtyard you intended to visit was thoroughly swept, a task for the servant girls, as we know from Section 6 of their journey, cleared of any potential hazards and discreetly secured by patrolling guards. You would be accompanied by a small retinue of trusted eunuchs, perhaps a few imperial physicians, and occasionally a favored concubine or child. These walks were not just for physical exercise, they were opportunities for quiet contemplation, for admiring the meticulously cultivated landscapes, or for engaging in light conversation about nature or philosophy. However, even in these moments of apparent leisure, your every move was observed. Eunuchs would anticipate your desires, pointing out a particularly beautiful blossom or a new rock formation, always ready to assist or protect. The beauty of the gardens was undeniable, a testament to the empire's resources, but the constant presence of attendants was a silent reminder that true solitude was a luxury beyond even your grasp. You can almost feel the gentle breeze on your face, the soft crunch of gravel under your imperial shoes, and the subtle, ever-present awareness of your silent escort. One mainstream historical fact is the design and use of elaborate imperial gardens in Chinese palaces, which serve as private retreats for the emperor and imperial family. While designed for beauty and relaxation, these spaces were always under strict security and surveillance, reflecting the constant threat of intrigue and the emperor's protected status. These gardens were miniature universes, meticulously crafted and controlled. You can almost hear the soft rustle of leaves, a peaceful counterpoint to the underlying vigilance. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if the weather was unexpectedly pleasant and the emperor spontaneously decided to extend his garden stroll beyond the pre-approved route, the accompanying eunuchs would have to discreetly send signals or whispers ahead to other eunuch teams, rapidly alerting them to quickly clear and secure the new pathway, often scrambling to hide any working servants or unforeseen obstacles from the imperial gaze. Imagine a sudden, frantic, last-minute security sweep because the emperor decided to take an unscheduled detour. What a truly improvisational and utterly high-stakes form of imperial route management. Historians still argue whether the emperor's limited and controlled palace strolls were primarily a practical means of promoting his physical health and mental well-being, reflecting an understanding of the benefits of nature and exercise, or if they also served as a symbolic display of his detachment from the everyday world, emphasizing his unique and elevated status, with every aspect of his leisure choreographed to reinforce his power and divine mandate. Was it about health or divine isolation? The debate continues, much like the gentle fall of a single cherry blossom petal onto a perfectly raked path, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal need and imperial performance that defined even the briefest moments of leisure for the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound sense of controlled freedom, the constant awareness of your majestic role, even amidst nature's quiet beauty. From the profound focus and artistic cultivation of calligraphy practice, your imperial day now moves towards a necessary pause for physical and mental sustenance. Midday meal, light sustenance. You might imagine another grand banquet, a continuation of the morning's imperial breakfast. But for you, the emperor, the midday meal was typically a lighter, less ceremonial affair, designed to provide energy without being overly heavy. allowing you to return to the demanding duties of your afternoon. Imagine a smaller selection of dishes, still exquisitely prepared, served in a more intimate setting, as you take a brief moment to refuel your body and clear your mind before the next wave of imperial responsibilities. It's less about a lavish feast and more about strategic nourishment, like a very ancient, very sophisticated power lunch. After the intense mental concentration required for state councils and the meditative discipline of calligraphy, a lighter meal was customary. You wouldn't typically return to the grand dining hall used for breakfast. Instead, your midday meal might be served in a more private study or a small, tranquil pavilion within the palace grounds. The number of dishes would be fewer than at breakfast or dinner, perhaps a selection of fine rice, a delicate soup, a few stir-fried vegetables, and a small portion of lean meat or fish. These dishes would still be prepared with the utmost care by specialized chefs, ensuring freshness, flavor, and often specific medicinal properties believed to aid digestion or invigorate the mind. Eunuchs would serve you quietly and efficiently, anticipating your needs without a word. This meal served as a crucial interlude, allowing your body to replenish its energy without inducing drowsiness, ensuring you remained alert and focused for the remainder of your day. It was a practical necessity, a bridge between the morning's intense work and the afternoon's varied demands. You can almost feel the gentle warmth of the soup, the subtle taste of fresh ingredients, and the quiet comfort of a temporary reprieve. One mainstream historical fact is the structured nature of imperial meal times in China, with typically 3 main meals a day, each varying in formality and scale. The midday meal often served a functional purpose, being less ceremonial than dinner, but still prepared with high standards of quality and variety to suit the emperor's preferences and health. This contrasted sharply with the meager midday porridge of the servant girls, as we explored in Section 8 of their journey. You can almost hear the soft clink of a jade chopstick, a quiet symphony of imperial dining. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly fond of a specific fruit that was out of season, eunuchs might employ ancient preservation techniques, like storing fruits in underground ice houses, even in summer, just to present a few precious, out-of-season berries or lychees for his midday meal, a testament to boundless resources and ingenuity. Imagine enjoying perfectly chilled summer fruits in the middle of winter, all thanks to ancient refrigeration technology. What a truly extravagant and utterly impressive form of imperial climate control for your palate. Historians still argue whether the emperor's midday meal, despite its relative simplicity compared to other meals, was primarily a practical approach to maintaining his health and energy for continuous governance, reflecting a pragmatic understanding of diet, or if it also served as a subtle display of his refined palate and control over nature's bounty, demonstrating his ability to command rare and out-of-season delicacies, thereby reinforcing his supreme status to the observing eunuchs. Was it about health or subtle display? The debate continues, much like the gentle steam rising from small. Perfectly crafted dumpling, a silent testament to the careful balance between personal needs and imperial performance that defined even the most intimate moments of the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound sense of selective indulgence, the quiet refueling, as you prepare to re-engage with the affairs of state. From the light, yet exquisite, midday meal, your imperial day now transitions to a period of intellectual rigor and profound contemplation, study and reflection, ancient wisdom. You might imagine a moment of casual reading or quiet relaxation. But for you, the emperor, this time was a dedicated, disciplined pursuit of knowledge. Immersing yourself in classical texts, historical annals, and philosophical treatises, all to sharpen your mind, inform your governance, and connect with the wisdom of the sages. Imagine the rustle of ancient scrolls as you turn a page, the faint scent of aged paper as you sit in quiet solitude, pondering the lessons of history or the complexities of Confucian thought, seeking guidance for the immense burdens of your rule. It's less about simple leisure reading and more about a scholarly pilgrimage, like a very ancient, very profound intellectual workout. After your midday sustenance, you would retire to your personal study, a chamber filled with scrolls, books, and perhaps maps of your vast empire. This was a critical period of your day, often lasting several hours. Eunuchs would meticulously prepare the room, ensuring perfect lighting and a comfortable, undisturbed environment. Your reading materials will be diverse. Historical records detailing the successes and failures of previous dynasties. Philosophical texts exploring the principles of good governance and personal morality, especially Confucian classics, which profoundly influenced imperial rule, and sometimes even contemporary reports from your ministries. You wouldn't just passively read, you would actively reflect, drawing parallels between ancient dilemmas and present-day challenges, seeking insights that could inform your decisions. This intellectual work was not merely an academic exercise. It was considered essential for an emperor to cultivate wisdom, righteousness, and a deep understanding of the world he governed. It was a time for self-cultivation, a quiet communion with the accumulated knowledge of centuries. You can almost feel the weight of the ancient texts in your hands, the quiet hum of your own thoughts, as you grapple with the timeless questions of leadership. One mainstream historical fact is the deep reverence for classical learning and history among Chinese emperors and the elite. Education, particularly in the Confucian classics, was seen as fundamental for good governance and moral leadership. Emperors often sponsored large-scale, scholarly projects and were expected to embody the ideal of a scholar ruler. You can almost hear the silent turning of pages, a testament to centuries of intellectual pursuit. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly troubled by a complex philosophical passage or a difficult historical anecdote, he might secretly instruct a trusted eunuch to discreetly fetch a renowned, elderly scholar from outside the palace to offer a private, unrecorded interpretation or debate late at night, bypassing formal court protocols for a moment of genuine intellectual sparring. Imagine having a personal, secret tutor for your profound historical dilemmas. What a truly dedicated and utterly unconventional form of imperial academic support. Historians still argue whether the emperor's extensive time dedicated to study and reflection was primarily a genuine personal pursuit of knowledge and moral self-improvement, reflecting a sincere commitment to traditional scholarly ideals, or if it also served as a subtle form of political theater and isolation, demonstrating his intellectual superiority to his court and populace, thereby legitimizing his rule and discouraging any doubts about his wisdom, while simultaneously limiting his direct interaction with external realities. Was it about wisdom or political positioning? The debate continues, much like the gentle rustle of a silk scroll being unrolled. You feel the profound quiet of contemplation, the immense weight of knowledge as you delve into the enduring wisdom of the past. From the quiet, intellectual depths of study and reflection, archery and other martial exercises were crucial, a demonstration of your physical prowess, discipline, and readiness for leadership, deeply rooted in the martial traditions of your ancestors. Imagine the taut feel of the bowstring against your fingers, the focused gaze as you aim at a distant target, the sharp thwack as the arrow finds its mark. Very serious, imperial Olympic training session. After hours of mental exertion, engaging in physical activity was considered essential for maintaining your health and vitality. And ensure your bows, often exquisitely crafted from horn, wood, and sinew, were in perfect condition. You would practice various forms of archery, sometimes mounted on horseback, if the range allowed, sometimes on foot. The discipline required for archery was immense: a steady hand, a keen eye, immense upper body strength, and the mental fortitude to remain calm under pressure. This wasn't merely exercise. It was a connection to the martial heritage of many Chinese dynasties, particularly those with nomadic or military origins. A skilled emperor in archery was seen as capable of leading armies, protecting the realm, and embodying the ideal of both scholar and warrior. These sessions were often observed by a few trusted eunuchs, sometimes even by younger princes, serving as a silent lesson in discipline and imperial power. One mainstream historical fact is the importance of martial arts and archery skills for Chinese emperors, especially during certain dynasties like the Tang or Qing, which had strong military foundations. Emperors were expected to possess both intellectual and martial prowess, embodying a balanced ideal of leadership. Archery competitions and demonstrations were often held as part of court entertainment or imperial exams. You can almost hear the soft thwack of an arrow hitting its target, a resonant sound of ancient imperial skill. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly keen on improving his aim, a trusted eunuch might secretly have tiny, almost imperceptible bells or charms attached to the target, designed to make a faint, unique jingle only when the arrow hit the absolute center, providing immediate, subtle acoustic feedback that only the emperor would truly notice. Imagine a personalized, ancient bullseye notification system just to subtly boost your imperial ego. What a truly discreet and utterly ingenious form of imperial performance enhancement. Historians still argue whether the emperor's dedicated practice of martial arts, particularly archery, was primarily a practical means of maintaining physical fitness and military readiness, reflecting a genuine commitment to military preparedness, or if it also served as a powerful symbolic performance, demonstrating his virility, strength, and capacity for leadership to his court and military, thereby reinforcing his absolute authority and deterring any thoughts of rebellion. Was it about fitness or symbolic power? The debate continues, much like the gentle hum of a bowstring after release, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal discipline and public display that defined even the physically demanding moments of the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound satisfaction of a well-aimed shot, the quiet assurance of your own strength, as you embody the ideal of a warrior king. From the disciplined vigor of archery practice, your imperial day now pivots to one of the most intriguing and often misunderstood aspects of palace life: concubine selection, the tablet system. You might imagine romantic encounters or personal choice, but for you, the emperor, and for the vast majority of women in your harem, the selection of a concubine for the evening was a highly formalized, ritualistic process designed to ensure fairness of a sort among a multitude of women, and often managed entirely by eunuchs. Imagine a eunuch presenting a tray of carved jade tablets, each bearing the name of a different woman, and you, with a mere flick of your finger, choosing the woman who will spend the night in your presence, her fate decided by a single, silent gesture. It's less about passion and more about institutionalized allocation, like a very ancient, very high-stakes, purely administrative dating app. The imperial harem could house hundreds, sometimes thousands, of women, all vying for the emperor's favor, as producing heirs was a paramount duty for the dynasty. To manage this vast population and to ensure some semblance of order and opportunity, the tablet system was developed. Each evening, or at a designated time, a senior eunuch would present you with a tray holding dozens of small, inscribed jade or ivory tablets. Each tablet bore the name, and sometimes the title, of a concubine. These women would typically be chosen from a pool that had met specific criteria for the day, perhaps related to their rank, health, or recent behavior. You would simply turn over the tablet of the woman you wished to visit that night. There was no direct verbal command from you, no personal invitation. The gesture was silent, and the eunuch would then carry out your instruction. This system removed much of the direct interaction, acting as a buffer between your desires and the reality of the harem, and also preventing concubines from directly lobbying for your attention. It highlighted your ultimate authority while also reinforcing the highly controlled nature of your intimate life. You can almost feel the cool, smooth surface of the jade tablet, the quiet weight of choice, and the profound impact of your silent decision. One mainstream historical fact is the highly structured and bureaucratized nature of the imperial harem in China. The emperor's personal life, especially his sexual relationships, was a matter of state, meticulously managed by eunuchs to ensure the continuation of the imperial line and to maintain control over the many women within the inner court. The tablet system was a formal mechanism to achieve this. You can almost hear the soft clink of jade, a sound that held immense power over many lives. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if an emperor was feeling particularly indecisive or wanted to delegate the choice for the evening, he might instruct the eunuch to simply let fate decide, and the eunuch would then either draw a tablet randomly or even choose one based on a whim, effectively making a low-ranking palace official the temporary arbiter of imperial favor. Imagine your knightly companion being selected by an elaborate game of ancient bureaucratic roulette. What a truly hands-off and utterly bizarre form of imperial dating. Historians still argue whether the elaborate tablet system for concubine selection was primarily a practical necessity for managing the logistics of a vast harem and preventing open conflict or favoritism, reflecting an ingenious method of bureaucratic control, or if it also served as a psychological tool to dehumanize the concubines and even the emperor himself, transforming intimate relationships into a sterile, impersonal process, thereby reinforcing the imperial system's absolute power over individual lives. Was it about order or depersonalization? The debate continues, much like the gentle click of a turned-over tablet, a silent testament to the intricate layers of ritual and control that governed even the most private moments of the Son of Heaven, in a world where personal desires were often secondary to imperial duty. You feel the profound weight of a choice that isn't truly personal, the silent power of a system that dictates even intimacy. From the impersonal, ritualistic tablet system of concubine selection, your imperial day now shifts focus to the chosen woman as she undergoes a series of meticulous preparations, preparing the body, cleansing rituals. You might imagine a leisurely, romantic preparation for a private encounter. But for the concubine summoned to the emperor's bedchamber, this was a highly formalized, anxiety-inducing process of cleansing, anointing, and dressing, overseen by watchful eunuchs, ensuring both her purity and adherence to strict palace protocols. Imagine her being carefully undressed, bathed in scented water, and discreetly inspected, every step designed to remove any impurities and align her with the emperor's sacred status, all under the silent, unblinking gaze of palace attendants. It's less about personal readiness and more about a ritualistic purification, like a very ancient, very high stakes, predate decontamination procedure. Once your silent choice was made via the jade tablet, a moment of quiet power, as we saw in section 11. The selected concubine's chamber would immediately spring into a flurry of activity. She would be informed by a senior eunuch and then a team of female palace servants, often overseen by a palace matron or a trusted eunuch, would begin her elaborate preparation. First came the ritual bath, often in warm, fragrant water, infused with herbs or flower petals, similar to the emperor's own morning ablutions, but perhaps even more scrutinizing. This was not just for cleanliness. It was believed to purify her body and spirit, making her worthy of the emperor's presence. Every inch of her skin would be meticulously cleaned and then gently dried with soft cloths. Her hair would be unbound, washed, and delicately perfumed. Next came the anointing and light dressing. Subtle, rare perfumes or scented powders would be applied to her skin. Her body would be discreetly inspected by the female attendants to ensure there were no blemishes, unusual marks, or hidden objects that could be perceived as ill omens or threats. This was a crucial security measure, as well as a matter of imperial perfection. Finally, she would be dressed in simple, often thin, silk robes, easy to remove. and without elaborate ornamentation or excessive layers. No heavy jewelry, no elaborate hairstyles were permitted at this stage. Simplicity and purity were key. This entire process, conducted under silent, watchful eyes, was designed to strip away her individual identity and transform her into a vessel ready for the imperial presence, ensuring both her physical purity and her absolute lack of hidden agendas. You can almost feel the gentle touch of the perfumed water, the subtle scent of exotic oils, and the underlying tension of a moment fraught with both opportunity and intense scrutiny. One mainstream historical fact is the rigorous physical and ritualistic preparation of imperial concubines before they were allowed into the emperor's bedchamber. This was a strict protocol across many dynasties, driven by concerns for the emperor's health, safety, and purity of the imperial line, with eunuchs playing a crucial supervisory role. This highlights the intense scrutiny under which concubines lived. You can almost hear the soft splash of water, the hushed whispers of attendants, and the quiet rustle of silk. A symphony of preparation. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if a concubine was particularly nervous or worried about her appearance, she might try to subtly use a secret. Miniature sachet of calming herbs like dried lavender or lotus root, hidden within her sleeve or sash, hoping its scent would discreetly alleviate her anxiety during the intense preparation process. Imagine a tiny floral stress ball hidden in your sleeve, just to calm your nerves before facing the most powerful man in the empire. What a truly quiet and utterly human form of pre-encounter anxiety relief. Historians still argue whether the elaborate and intrusive cleansing rituals for concubines were primarily a practical necessity for ensuring the emperor's health and security, reflecting genuine concerns about hygiene and plots, or if they also served as a powerful symbolic act of dehumanization and control, emphasizing the concubine's subservient status and transforming her body into an object meticulously prepared for imperial use, thereby reinforcing the absolute power of the emperor and the eunuch bureaucracy over her very being. Was it about safety or subjugation? The debate continues. Much like the gentle fall of a single drop of water from a bather's skin, a silent testament to the intricate layers of ritual and power that governed even the most intimate preparations for the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound sense of vulnerability, the intense scrutiny as you are meticulously prepared for a moment that could define your future. From the chosen concubine's meticulous cleansing rituals, your imperial evening now shifts to a meal that, despite its opulence, is often marked by an unexpected solitude. Imperial dinner, solitary splendor. You might imagine a bustling banquet hall filled with laughter and conversation. But for you, the emperor, your main evening meal was typically a grand, multi-course affair, yet consumed alone or with a select few trusted eunuchs, in a setting of immense formality, a stark contrast to the communal dining of your court. Imagine dozens of dishes, each a culinary masterpiece, laid out before you on a vast table, your every bite observed, but without the lively chatter of a shared meal, the silence amplifying the weight of your solitary power. It's less about social dining and more about a ritualized display of isolated majesty, like a very ancient, very exquisite one-person culinary show. As the day deepens into evening, after the day's various audiences, studies, and physical exercises, you would proceed to a private dining hall for your main meal. Unlike the informal morning breakfast, which we touched on in Section 4, or the lighter midday fare from Section 8, dinner was often the most elaborate and ceremonially significant meal. Chefs from the vast imperial kitchens, a place of fervent activity, as we noted in Section 13 of the Servant Girl's Journey, would have prepared a staggering array of dishes, sometimes over 100, featuring rare delicacies, intricate preparations, and diverse regional cuisines. Each dish would be served in a small, individual bowl or plate, arranged artfully on a long, often lacquered table. However, Despite this dazzling display of culinary artistry, you rarely dined with your empress, concubines, or children in a truly relaxed, familial setting. Such interactions were typically formal and infrequent. Instead, you would eat alone or perhaps with a few trusted, silent eunuchs standing by. These eunuchs would not only serve you, but also perform the crucial duty of tasting each dish for poison before you consumed it. A constant reminder of the ever-present threat of assassination or intrigue. The silence in the dining hall, broken only by the soft clinking of porcelain and the movements of the eunuchs, underscored the immense isolation inherent in your supreme position. This meal was not just sustenance. It was a potent symbol of your untouchable status, a solitary peak of power. You can almost feel the rich aromas, the quiet tension, and the profound, isolating grandeur of dining alone at the apex of an empire. One mainstream historical fact is the emperor's practice of dining alone, or only with eunuchs and highly trusted personal guards, to minimize assassination risks and maintain an aura of separation and divinity. This practice was common across many imperial dynasties, reflecting the constant threat of internal conspiracies. It was a measure of security as much as it was a sign of status. You can almost hear the soft, almost imperceptible sounds of chewing and swallowing, a stark contrast to the expected joviality of a feast. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was feeling particularly melancholy or nostalgic during his solitary dinner, he might secretly instruct a favored eunuch to have a phantom banquet prepared in an adjacent room. Identical dishes laid out on empty tables, as if for unseen guests, providing a strange comfort of imagined company without the actual presence of others. Imagine having an elaborate ghost dinner party every night, just to alleviate the loneliness. What a truly poignant and utterly peculiar form of imperial companionship. Historians still argue whether the emperor's solitary dining was primarily a practical necessity for security reasons and to avoid poisoning, reflecting a genuine concern for his survival, or if it also served as a deliberate psychological tool of statecraft, reinforcing his divine separation from mortal society and emphasizing his unique, unapproachable status, thereby enhancing his authority and discouraging any attempts at familiarity from his court. Was it about protection or divine isolation? The debate continues, much like the gentle clinking of a single chopstick against a porcelain bowl, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal vulnerability and public performance that defined even the most private moments of the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound isolation, the heavy weight of observation as you consume your magnificent solitary meal. From the solitary splendor of imperial dinner, your evening as the emperor continues under the pervasive, unwavering gaze of your most personal attendants, eunuch attendants, constant vigilance. You might imagine finally retreating to privacy after your meal. But for you, the Son of Heaven, privacy was a concept almost entirely unknown, as eunuchs remained a constant, silent presence, observing, serving, and guarding your every move, even your most intimate chambers, ensuring your safety and the meticulous maintenance of imperial protocol. Imagine the soft rustle of their silk robes as they move through your private quarters, their faces impassive, their eyes missing nothing, a perpetual, silent shadow that underscores your absolute power and your profound isolation. It's less about personal space and more about continuous, institutionalized surveillance, like a very ancient, very sophisticated 24/7 personal security and concierge service. Eunuchs were the backbone of the inner court, directly serving the emperor and managing every aspect of his personal life. They were castrated men, theoretically rendered harmless to the imperial harem, and therefore trusted with unparalleled access to the emperor's private world. After your solitary dinner, as you might retire to a more relaxed chamber, eunuchs would still be ever present. Some would stand guard outside your immediate quarters, while a select few, those most trusted, would remain within your inner sanctum. They were responsible for everything, lighting and extinguishing lamps, bringing you tea. Remember the meticulous process of preparing tea from section 11 of the servant girl's journey, arranging your personal items, fanning you when it was warm, adjusting your cushions, and attending to any sudden whim. Their presence was a constant, silent hum, a testament to their unwavering loyalty and the absolute control they exercised over your immediate environment. This pervasive vigilance wasn't just about service. It was about security, ensuring that no unauthorized person approached you, and that no threat, real or imagined, went unnoticed. It also meant that even your most private moments were never truly unwitnessed. You can almost feel the weight of their silent observation, the subtle pressure of their constant proximity, a stark reminder of your unique position. One mainstream historical fact is the ubiquitous and powerful role of eunuchs in the Chinese imperial court, particularly in the emperor's personal life and the administration of the inner palace. Their direct access to the emperor often gave them immense de facto power, leading to complex and sometimes turbulent relationships with the outer court bureaucracy. Their presence was a defining feature of imperial life for centuries. You can almost hear the soft, almost imperceptible shuffle of their footsteps, a constant presence in your gilded world. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if an emperor developed a particular fondness for a specific eunuch who had an exceptional ability to tell engaging stories or recite poetry, a much-needed distraction from the daily grind, especially if you consider the quiet evening study we'll discuss in section 16, that eunuch might be quietly allowed to remain in a hidden alcove near the emperor's bedchamber after hours, subtly whispering tales or verses to help the emperor relax and drift off to sleep, a secret nightly bedtime storyteller. Imagine having a live audiobook service curated just for your imperial ears. What a truly unique and utterly intimate form of imperial entertainment. Historians still argue whether the constant attendance of eunuchs around the emperor was primarily a practical necessity for managing his complex personal life and ensuring his security, reflecting the logistical demands of imperial governance, or if it also served as a profound psychological tool of isolation and control, limiting the emperor's direct contact with the outside world and making him utterly dependent on this specialized bureaucracy, thereby reinforcing his detachment from reality and the power of the eunuch system over his very existence. Was it about protection or pervasive isolation? The debate continues. Much like the gentle whisper of a eunuch's silk robe in the quiet of your chambers, a silent testament to the intricate web of service and surveillance that surrounded the Son of Heaven. Even as the day drew to a close, you feel the profound sense of being perpetually observed, the quiet weight of unseen guardians as your evening unfolds. From the constant, almost suffocating, eunuch attendance, your imperial evening now shifts to a crucial, routine, and often invasive aspect of your nightly preparation. Medical checks, health before bed. You might imagine a private moment of relaxation before sleep. But for you, the emperor, even your physical well-being was a matter of state, requiring daily assessments by imperial physicians, often overseen by eunuchs, to ensure your health, vitality, and fitness to rule. Imagine the subtle touch of a physician's fingers on your wrist as they take your pulse, their eyes keenly observing your complexion, or their quiet questions about your appetite and sleep, all to ensure the Son of Heaven remains robust, knowing that your health is paramount to the stability of the empire. It's less about a private doctor's visit and more about a nightly public health assessment, like a very ancient, very high-stakes royal wellness check. As your evening progressed, typically after dinner and any immediate post-meal activities, the imperial physicians would arrive. These highly trained medical professionals were a crucial part of the imperial household, tasked with safeguarding your health above all else. Your daily medical check was not a casual affair. They would meticulously observe your complexion, the color of your tongue, and the whites of your eyes, noting any subtle changes. The most important diagnostic tool was pulse diagnosis, where they would carefully feel the pulse in various positions on both your wrists, interpreting subtle variations in rhythm and strength, each believed to correspond to different organs and bodily functions. They might ask detailed questions about your appetite, digestion, sleep patterns, and any aches or discomfort you might be experiencing. Based on their assessment, they might recommend specific herbal remedies, dietary adjustments, or even subtle changes in your daily routine. This process was often conducted in the presence of senior eunuchs, who would record the findings and ensure that all recommendations were followed. Your health was not just personal. It was a matter of national security, directly tied to the continuity of the dynasty and the stability of the realm. You can almost feel the gentle pressure of their fingertips on your wrist, the quiet intensity of their gaze, and the subtle relief of knowing that your well-being is under constant scrutiny. One mainstream historical fact is the sophistication of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, and its prominent role in the imperial court. Emperors had dedicated teams of highly skilled physicians who provided continuous medical care, often employing pulse diagnosis, herbal remedies, and dietary therapy to maintain imperial health. These doctors' careers depended entirely on the emperor's well-being. You can almost hear the soft, almost imperceptible murmur of medical assessment, a quiet hum in the royal chambers. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly finicky or distrustful of direct medical intervention, the imperial physicians might resort to a rather ingenious method. They would examine his morning urine and nightly stool samples with extreme scrutiny, believing these bodily excretions offered crucial, objective insights into his internal balance and health, without requiring direct physical contact or awkward questions. Imagine your daily bathroom habits becoming the primary subject of a very serious, very scientific imperial review. What a truly non-invasive and utterly fascinating form of ancient medical remote sensing. Historians still argue whether the meticulous daily medical checks for the emperor were primarily a practical necessity for maintaining his long-term health and preventing illness, reflecting a genuine commitment to proactive care, or if they also served as a subtle form of control and surveillance by the bureaucracy, allowing eunuchs and physicians to monitor his physical and mental state, thereby identifying any vulnerabilities or changes that could impact his rule or succession. Was it about health or control? The debate continues, much like the gentle rhythm of a human pulse, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal well-being and imperial responsibility that defined even the most intimate moments of the Son of Heaven. You feel the profound awareness of your own body, the quiet weight of its importance, as your health is assessed before the night descends. From the intimate, yet scrutinizing medical checks, your imperial evening now shifts to a final period of intellectual engagement, reading and study, intellectual wind down. You might imagine simply closing your eyes and drifting off. But for you, the emperor, even the moments before sleep were often dedicated to intellectual pursuits, a quiet return to classical texts, historical anecdotes, or even poetry designed to calm your mind, offer perspective, and ensure a final infusion of wisdom before the day truly ended. Imagine the gentle glow of a lamp on a silk scroll, the soft whisper of turning pages, as you absorb the thoughts of ancient sages, seeking not just knowledge, but also a sense of peace in the quiet hours before slumber. It's less about forced study and more about a chosen, calming intellectual ritual, like a very ancient, very sophisticated bedtime story for a very powerful mind. After the day's arduous responsibilities, the complex interactions, and the subtle anxieties, retreating to your private study or a quiet alcove for a final period of reading was a common practice. Eunuchs would ensure the lighting was comfortable, perhaps a strategically placed oil lamp or a delicate lantern, and that your preferred texts were within easy reach. You might return to a beloved philosophical treatise, seeking comfort in its timeless wisdom, or perhaps delve into a particularly engaging historical narrative, drawing lessons from the triumphs and failures of past rulers. Sometimes, it could be a collection of poetry, its verses offering a beautiful escape from the stark realities of governance. This reading was often less about making new decisions and more about reflection, contemplation, and intellectual solace. It served as a mental wind down, allowing your mind to process the day's events and to find a sense of equilibrium before sleep. It was a rare opportunity for true personal engagement, a quiet communion with the accumulated knowledge and beauty of your culture, a final nourishment for the intellect that guided your empire. You can almost feel the smooth texture of the ancient paper, the subtle scent of old ink, and the profound quiet of a mind seeking both knowledge and peace. One mainstream historical fact is the emperor's continued engagement with classical learning even late into the evening. Many emperors were highly educated and saw the pursuit of knowledge as a lifelong duty, believing it directly contributed to their ability to rule effectively and justly. This intellectual discipline was considered a virtue. You can almost hear the soft rustle of a turning page, a quiet symphony of imperial learning in the stillness of the night. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor found a particularly inspiring passage in a classical text, he might use a tiny, delicately carved jade bookmark shaped like an auspicious animal, like a dragon or phoenix, to mark his place, believing it would transfer the text's wisdom and good fortune into his dreams, providing divine guidance for the next day's challenges. Imagine a tiny, magical charm for your nightly reading, designed to bring you prophetic insights. What a truly superstitious and utterly charming form of imperial dream weaving. Historians still argue whether the emperor's late-night reading and study was primarily a genuine personal passion for intellectual growth and self-improvement, reflecting a true commitment to scholarly ideals and a pursuit of wisdom, or if it also served as a subtle form of performance, demonstrating his diligence and erudition even in private moments, thereby reinforcing his image as an enlightened ruler and setting an example for his court. Was it about wisdom or enduring performance? The debate continues, much like the gentle flicker of a lamp's flame in a quiet study, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal cultivation and imperial duty that defined even the final waking moments of the Son of Heaven, as he sought solace and insight in the wisdom of the ages before surrendering to the embrace of sleep. You feel the profound intellectual calm, the quiet absorption of knowledge. As your day gently concludes, from the quiet intellectual wind down of reading and study, your imperial evening sometimes shifts to hushed critical exchanges, strategic conversations, final briefings. You might imagine all official business concludes during the day. But for you, the emperor, urgent matters of state, sensitive intelligence, or highly confidential plans often demanded discreet, late-night discussions with your most trusted advisors, conducted in the deep quiet of the palace, long after the rest of the court had retired. Imagine whispering with a grand secretary in a dimly lit chamber, the flickering lamp casting long shadows, as you discuss a secret military deployment or sensitive diplomatic maneuver, knowing that the empire's security rests on these clandestine talks. It's less about a formal meeting and more about a clandestine planning session, like a very ancient, very high stakes. Midnight War Council. Even as the palace settled into its nightly slumber, the work of empire never truly ceased. Sometimes, an urgent report from a distant province, a critical piece of intelligence from a border region, or a highly sensitive political matter requiring absolute discretion would necessitate a late-night audience. Only the most trusted grand secretaries or military commanders, often summoned directly from their residences within the palace complex, would be granted such access. These discussions would be conducted in hushed tones, often in a private study or a secluded chamber, far from prying ears. The topics could range from sudden bandit uprising, a subtle shift in a neighboring kingdom's intentions, to a secret plan for a new economic policy. You would listen intently, weighing the implications, and then issue your directives, often in precise, coded language to minimize the risk of misinterpretation or leaks. These secret briefings were a testament to the constant vigilance required at the apex of power, where even the night offered no true respite from the burdens of governance. They also underscored the profound trust you placed in these few individuals, making them privy to secrets that could shake the realm. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the quiet urgency of whispered words, and the heavy weight of shared responsibility in the silent hours. One mainstream historical fact is the existence of informal, often clandestine, late-night meetings between emperors and their closest advisors. These sessions were crucial for handling highly sensitive state affairs that required utmost secrecy, bypassing the formality and publicity of daytime court audiences. This highlights the fluid and sometimes shadowy nature of imperial decision-making. You can almost hear the soft, almost imperceptible rustle of confidential documents, a quiet symphony of state secrets in the dead of night. Now, for a quirky tidbit, sometimes, if an emperor was particularly paranoid about eavesdroppers during these secret late-night discussions, he might order eunuchs to burn a type of muffling incense, a specially concocted blend of herbs that produced a thick, non-toxic smoke designed to absorb sound waves, creating a subtly quieter environment within the room. Imagine trying to conduct a top-secret meeting while a smoky, sound-absorbing incense fills the air. What a truly atmospheric and utterly ingenious form of ancient acoustic baffling. Historians still argue whether these late-night strategic conversations were primarily a practical necessity for addressing truly urgent and confidential matters that could not wait until morning, reflecting the complex demands of imperial governance, or if they also served as a deliberate psychological tool to further isolate the emperor, making him reliant on a select few trusted individuals and reinforcing his detachment from the broader court and bureaucracy. Was it about necessity or intensified isolation? The debate continues, much like the gentle flicker of a hidden lamp on a secret document, a silent testament to the tireless vigilance and profound responsibility that defined even the final, hushed moments of the Son of Heaven before sleep finally claimed him. You feel the profound weight of secrets, the quiet urgency of grave decisions as you navigate the Empire's shadows. From the hushed, critical strategic conversations, your imperial evening sometimes shifts to a more aesthetic and calming indulgence, artistic appreciation, music, and poetry. You might imagine a grand performance in a vast hall. But for you, the Emperor, these were often intimate, private moments of solace, listening to the delicate strains of a zither, the gentle flute, or the resonant recitation of classical verses, all designed to soothe your mind, lift your spirit, and provide a tranquil escape from the day's relentless pressures. Imagine closing your eyes as the ethereal notes of a pipa fill the air, or the rich tones of a poet's voice carry you to distant landscapes, finding a profound sense of peace in these carefully curated artistic interludes. It's less about public spectacle and more about a private, sensory balm for the weary soul, like a very ancient, very exclusive, personal chill-out session. After the intellectual demands of reading, which we explored in Section 16, and potentially the tension of late-night briefings, as discussed in Section 17, engaging with art was a cherished way to unwind. You might retire to a smaller, more comfortable chamber or a private garden pavilion. Eunuchs would arrange for a solo musician or a small ensemble to play traditional instruments like the guqin, seven-string zither, or the dizzy, bamboo flute. The music would be soft, contemplative, designed to evoke serenity rather than excitement. Alternatively, a skilled scholar or a palace poet might be summoned to recite classical verses or newly composed poems, their voices bringing to life tales of nature, love, or the wisdom of ancestors. This was not merely entertainment. It was considered an important aspect of imperial cultivation, fostering harmony within yourself and reflecting a refined taste. These moments provided a vital psychological respite, allowing your mind to drift away from the burdens of governance and find beauty and tranquility in the subtle nuances of sound and language. You can almost feel the gentle vibrations of the music, the lyrical flow of the poetry, and the profound sense of calm that settles over you. One mainstream historical fact is the deep appreciation for classical music and poetry among Chinese emperors and the educated elite. These art forms were integral to court life, seen as reflections of culture, morality, and inner harmony, and emperors often commissioned new works or patronized renowned artists and musicians. This cultural patronage was a significant aspect of imperial rule. You can almost hear the delicate pluck of a string, the soft breath through a flute, a subtle symphony of imperial tranquility. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was feeling particularly restless or found it hard to relax before bed, he might instruct a eunuch to play a very specific type of sleep-inducing music, often repetitive, almost hypnotic melodies designed to mimic the sounds of nature, like falling rain or gentle rustling leaves, believed to lull the mind into a peaceful slumber. Imagine having a personalized, ancient white noise machine powered by live musicians. What a truly dedicated and utterly unique form of imperial sleep therapy. Historians still argue whether the emperor's engagement with artistic appreciation before bedtime was primarily a genuine personal desire for aesthetic pleasure and mental relaxation, reflecting a sincere need for respite from the pressures of rule, or if it also served as a subtle form of performance and self-cultivation, demonstrating his refined tastes and intellectual prowess to his closest attendants, thereby reinforcing his image as an enlightened and cultured ruler, even in his private moments. Was it about solace or sustained image? The debate continues, much like the gentle fading of a musical note into the quiet night air, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal well-being and imperial responsibility that defined even the final, intimate moments of the Son of Heaven before he prepared for sleep. You feel the profound peace, the subtle beauty, as your mind is soothed before you succumb to slumber. From the calming embrace of artistic appreciation, your imperial evening now culminates in a series of precise actions designed for ultimate comfort and protection, preparing the bedchamber, comfort and security. You might imagine simply slipping into bed, but for you, the emperor, your sleeping quarters were a carefully prepared sanctuary, meticulously arranged by eunuchs, not just for luxury, but for absolute safety and an aura of divine peace, a culmination of the day's constant vigilance. Imagine the soft rustle of silk sheets being smoothed, the subtle warmth emanating from hidden braziers, and the precise arrangement of bed curtains, all orchestrated to create a haven of repose, knowing that every detail, however small, is a safeguard against the unseen threats of the night. It's less about a simple bedtime routine and more about a methodical, almost ceremonial, securing of the most precious individual in the realm, like a very ancient, very high-tech royal panic room. As the late evening hours draw to a close, your personal eunuchs would begin the final preparations for your rest. Your bedchamber, often a grand but still intimate space, would be meticulously readied. The imperial bed itself, often a large, intricately carved wooden platform, would be adorned with layers of the finest silk mattresses and blankets. Eunuchs would meticulously smooth out any wrinkles, ensuring perfect comfort. Depending on the season, hidden braziers might be tended to provide warmth, or delicate screens adjusted to control drafts. The bed curtains, often made of heavy silk, would be drawn around your sleeping area, creating a private enclosure within the chamber. This was not just for modesty. It also served as a subtle layer of security, making it harder for anyone to directly observe or approach you once you were asleep. Beyond comfort, security was paramount. Trusted eunuchs would perform a final sweep of the chamber, checking for any hidden threats or unusual disturbances. Guards would be stationed outside your immediate quarters, their vigilance extending throughout the night. Even the air might be subtly purified with delicate incense, both for aroma and to ward off insects or perceived ill humors. Every detail was carefully considered, every action performed with silent deference, ensuring that your final moments before sleep were imbued with a sense of untouchable peace and absolute protection. You can almost feel the softness of the silk, the controlled warmth of the room, and the profound sense of security that envelopes you, allowing your weary mind to finally surrender. One mainstream historical fact is the multi-layered security systems employed in imperial Chinese palaces to protect the emperor, especially during his vulnerable sleeping hours. This included multiple gates, guarded corridors, and concentric rings of loyal attendants, often with eunuchs forming the innermost circle of trust and surveillance. This was a direct response to the constant threat of assassination or coups. You can almost hear the soft click of a lock, the gentle shift of a guard's weight, a subtle symphony of imperial security. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor was particularly concerned about nightmares or evil spirits, eunuchs might discreetly place a small, intricately carved, dream-protecting jade charm or a tiny, auspiciously painted wooden figurine under his pillow, believing it would ward off bad omens and ensure peaceful, restorative sleep. Imagine a tiny, mystical guardian tucked beneath your head, just to guarantee sweet dreams and ward off any imperial boogeyman. What a truly superstitious and utterly charming form of ancient dream insurance. Historians still argue whether the elaborate preparation of the emperor's bedchamber and its associated security protocols were primarily a practical necessity for ensuring his physical safety in sea. In a politically dangerous environment, reflecting genuine concerns about assassination and health, or if they also served as a profound symbolic act, reinforcing his divine status and emphasizing his absolute detachment from the mundane world, even in sleep, thereby enhancing his mystique and reinforcing his unchallengeable authority. Was it about protection or divine symbolism? The debate continues, much like the gentle whisper of silk curtains being drawn, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal vulnerability and imperial majesty that defined the final, private moments of the Son of Heaven before he finally succumbed to sleep. You feel the profound sense of safety, the ultimate surrender to planned repose, as the world outside your curtains finally fades. From the meticulously prepared bedchamber and its layers of comfort and security, your imperial night now reaches its most intimate, yet still observed, culmination, the gilded curtain. Observe privacy. You might imagine complete solitude and personal freedom after the day's demands. But for you, the emperor, even your most private moments with a concubine were often conducted under the silent, watchful gaze of eunuchs, behind a symbolic curtain, a stark reminder that even intimacy was a matter of state, meticulously managed and recorded. Imagine the hushed entry of the chosen concubine, the soft closing of heavy silk drapes around your bed, creating a semblance of privacy. Yet knowing that just beyond the fabric, unseen eyes and ears remained vigilant, maintaining protocol and guarding against any deviation from imperial order. It's less about uninhibited passion and more about a carefully controlled, procreative duty, like a very ancient, very important, highly supervised biological function. After the rituals of security, study, and any final briefings, and with your bedchamber meticulously prepared, as we discussed in section 19, the chosen concubine of the evening would finally be brought to you. She wouldn't typically walk freely. Often, she would be carried to your bedchamber, sometimes even wrapped in a blanket or quilt, to minimize any chance of concealment or assassination attempts. Once inside your chamber, she would be discreetly helped onto your imperial bed. Then the heavy, elaborate bed curtains, often gilded or richly embroidered, will be drawn around the sleeping platform by eunuchs. This act created a physical barrier, offering a visual sense of privacy. However, this privacy was largely symbolic. Eunuchs, particularly those responsible for recording imperial lineage and sexual activity, would remain in the antechamber, or even just outside the drawn curtains, listening to ensure the emperor was safe and that the act was indeed occurring. Their presence ensured the meticulous recording of dates and participants, crucial for establishing paternity and succession. Sometimes they would even announce the time of departure, reminding the concubine that her visit was strictly timed. This constant, albeit indirect, observation underscored that even the emperor's most personal acts were state affairs, meticulously managed for the benefit of the dynasty. It was a gilded cage of intimacy, where genuine connection often took a back seat to ritual and duty. You can almost feel the soft fabric of the drawn curtains, the quiet rustle of unseen guardians just beyond, and the profound weight of a moment that was both private and profoundly public. One mainstream historical fact is the eunuch's role in managing and documenting the emperor's sexual life and the imperial harem. This was not merely for security, but crucially for dynastic succession, ensuring that paternity was clear and legitimate, and that no illicit activities occurred. Their meticulous record-keeping was paramount. You can almost hear the soft, almost imperceptible breathing just beyond the silk, a constant presence. Now for a quirky tidbit. Sometimes, if an emperor wished to show a concubine particular favor, he might subtly instruct the eunuch responsible for timing her departure to accidentally forget his sand timer or to feign deafness when it was time for her to leave, granting her a few extra, unrecorded moments of intimate time beyond a strict protocol. Imagine getting a tiny, secret extension to your royal sleepover, thanks to a forgetful imperial timekeeper. What a truly subtle and utterly coveted form of imperial leniency. Historians still argue whether the eunuch's pervasive presence during the emperor's intimate moments was primarily a practical necessity for ensuring dynastic succession and the emperor's safety fro, and poisoning or assassination, reflecting genuine concerns about security and lineage, or if it also served as a profound psychological tool of control and dehumanization, stripping both the emperor and concubines of genuine privacy and turning intimate acts into bureaucratic procedures, thereby reinforcing the absolute power of the imperial system over every aspect of their lives. Was it about lineage or ultimate control? The debate continues, much like the gentle whisper of silk curtains swaying in a barely perceptible breeze, a silent testament to the intricate balance between personal desire and imperial duty that defined even the most private moments of the Son of Heaven, as the long, meticulous day finally surrendered to a brief, observed night. You feel the profound exhaustion, the acceptance of your role, as the quiet of the bedchamber finally, utterly claims you. And so, as the final echoes of the Forbidden City's night fade, you can feel the air around you growing softer, the vibrant tapestry of ancient court life gently dissolving. We've journeyed through the meticulously orchestrated hours of an emperor's day, witnessing the relentless cycle of ritual, power, and surprising solitude that defined his existence within the gilded cage of the imperial palace. You've seen how every detail, from the gentle awakening to the observed intimacy, contributed to a life of ceaseless performance and profound isolation. Let the whispers of those bygone bedchambers, the imagined rustle of silk, and the faint scent of old incense softly recede. The world of imperial routine, with all its intricate demands and profound human experience, is now gently merging with the comforting quiet of your own space. There's no need to cling to the intricate details of calligraphy practice or the subtle dangers of strategic conversations. Just let the gentle hum of history, a soothing presence in the quiet darkness, wash over you. May your thoughts be peaceful, your dreams be deep, and your rest be undisturbed. Sleep well. End of script. Sweet dreams.